So hey besties, let's go ahead and cook these short ribs. Now I love short ribs. Short ribs is one of my favorite foods to eat, but it's something that I do not have often. We will maybe have it about once, twice a month the most, because it is a very fatty piece of meat. But it's also so moist, so juicy, so delicious. If you season the fat right, it adds so much flavor to your meal. So we're going to go ahead and get into how I did it. Now we're going to go ahead and start by cleaning off our ribs. I'm just going to use some cold water and some vinegar. And you see all that little stuff floating in the top? That's what we're trying to get rid of. So we're going to keep doing this method until the water runs clear. And after the water runs clear, then we can move on to starting to season it. I went on ahead and patted them dry with a paper towel, and then I went and stuck them in my pan, and now we're going to start seasoning it. We're going to use some Dijon mustard as a binder. You don't have to, but I like to use it as a binder. So we're going to go ahead, get that mustard on there, and then we're going to start seasoning everything down. We're first going to go in with some all-purpose seasoning. I have my own line, Pretty Girls No Flavor, and this is my all-purpose seasoning that I'm using. I'm going to make sure that I'm using a generous amount because this is a really thick cut of meat, so you want to make sure everything is nicely seasoned. So go ahead and be generous with the seasoning. Don't be afraid. Don't hold back. Beef is thick, and you need that seasoning to go through and penetrate that meat if you want your meat to be flavorful. So we're going to finish seasoning up, and you can use whatever seasonings that you like. Use some complete, use some garlic, use some onion, use some paprika, use whatever it is that your family normally likes. I'm just going in with the seasonings that I normally use. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some fresh garlic. I love adding in fresh garlic. It just brings it up to another level of flavor. You can use the jar garlic, but I prefer to go ahead, peel it, cut it up myself, and add it in there. Next, we have some fresh bell peppers that I did buy from the store that were already pre-chopped up, and I just bought it for convenience, and we're going to go ahead and add that in. Then you're going to go ahead and mix the ribs around. You're going to evaluate your seasoning. You're going to make sure everything is evenly coated. I cannot stress this enough. If you feel like it need more seasoning, please add more seasoning, y'all. And this is how my ribs look after it was seasoned. It was seasoned to my liking. It looked good. Everything was evenly coated. I see all the different flavors. And that is a very thick piece of meat. That's why I said do not be afraid to go in with the seasoning. Be very generous with the seasoning. So now we're going to sit it in a pan, and we're just going to put our foil on top of it, and I'm going to stick it in the fridge, and I'm going to let it marinate for about 2 hours before we go ahead and start the cooking process. And then we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven. Now while my ribs are marinating, I'm going to go ahead and cut my oven on and preheat it. So once these ribs are done, we can go ahead and put it right in the oven, and we will be good and ready to go. Now this is going to take some time to cook. This is how it looks. I added in some fresh herbs, and now we are ready to put it in the oven. I'm going to add in a little bit of beef broth on the corner. Now you don't have to add in a lot. You can just add in a little bit, because the ribs itself, once the fat starts rendering, is going to produce its own oils and its own juices. So you really don't need a lot. We're just going to add a little bit, and then we're going to put this in the oven. I baked mine for about 3 hours, and I like to do it low and slow. So we had these on medium for about 3 hours, and they were good and ready to go after 3 hours of being in the oven. Now if you want to do it lower than that, you might be looking at 4 to 5 hours. Now after 3 hours has passed, I went to check on my ribs, and we're going to go ahead and put some of those juices on there. On top of it, we're going to continue to baste it. I need to get me a basting brush, but I don't have one, so we're just going to work with what we got, and we are going to use this spoon to go ahead and baste these ribs. Now after that, I know you guys are wondering, are they tender? Of course they are. Look at that meat going to fall right off that bone. That's what you're looking for. Once you know that meat is falling off the bone, you know them things is good and ready, y'all. You can add you some barbecue sauce. You can add you whatever kind you want, or you can eat them just like that. Went on ahead, made some rice. We had us some veggies, and we're going to go ahead and put some sauce on top of them ribs. Now everybody likes a different sauce, so I left them plain, and everybody could put whatever sauce they want. My kids, they didn't even want no sauce, so that's why I didn't put none in when the pan was baking. And now you can call that man, them children, and tell them dinner is served. And if you are loving these videos, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you give me a like in the like section. You can go ahead and drop me a comment down below. I love when you guys read these comments, and share this video out. Bye guys.